Welcome back to the channel. This is Rich here. Thank you guys for clicking on this video. If you guys haven't checked out part 1 and 2, they are up on the channel. Without further ado, let's get back to it. So I wrote some notes down just so I don't lose my place in trying to tell the story in a quick and efficient manner. When I first moved to Florida, I was very nervous. I wasn't a particularly big fan of Southern rap at that time. You know, there were select few people that we listened to, like, you know, up north it was like, you know, Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, everybody kind of liked them. David Banner and Lil Flip, you know, they had the Like a Pimp song, and I was warming up to T.I. a little bit, you know, it was working, you know, I was still trying to get into it. The slang was way different from what I was used to, but as I mentioned, my issue with Seclusion would eventually turn into a bigger thing than I thought. You know, as I was up north and I was just hanging out at my grandma's house all the time. Imagine what it was like moving out of state, end of your freshman year of high school. You have your whole life, all your friends there, and then you gotta uproot because your mom decides to move across the country. So what ended up happening for me was I ended up diving, you know, deeper just into the music. I began trying to study every great album I could get my hands on all throughout like the summer, and, you know, pretty much, you know, headed down there at the end of the freshman year. You know, I was all over, you know, everything, you know, from mixtapes. I became a real big fan of Joe Budden around this time. And, you know, all the stuff I had purchased, you know, while I lived at my grandma's came in handy because, you know, it wasn't as easy to find like another mixtape place immediately the first, you know, couple months I was out here. But, you know, when I ended up going to Largo High School, I met a guy named Elijah McGill. What's up, Elijah? If you see this, he's actually a Christian hip hop artist, and you guys can check him out. And we would freestyle a bunch in the locker rooms after basketball class and gym class and everything like that. And I think Elijah may have been a senior. I was a freshman at the time. And I would pretty much let everyone know that I rapped, you know, in school, just to try to get some type of rap. Hey, you know, I rap, you know, I'm that dude that does this. Yeah, I figured it would be my entrance to the new social hierarchy I was in, and I was just suddenly there. Now I'm just this fucking import that's coming from, you know, up north, and it wasn't like the best like stigma to have, you know, early to mid 2000s, like, oh, you know, such and such, and everyone would assume I was from New York too, pretty much because of the boys, but, you know, I'm from Massachusetts. I lived in a neighborhood called Greenwood, and, you know, this was supposedly like one of the rougher part of towns and everything like that, but I never had, you know, really an issue, and, you know, I was pretty much cool with everybody I came across. You know, we got bused over to the next town, Largo, which is where I went to high school, and along with some other folks in the neighborhood, and that allowed me to not only make friends, you know, in Greenwood, like my boy Chris Shaw. What's up, Chris? Who I'm cool with to this day. But I made friends with this dude named Red, who's no longer with us, unfortunately. And he was probably like one of the first people up at Largo that really took a liking, you know, to me, my style, and, you know, just me as a person that I felt like I could kick it with. Red was like a little bit older than me. I believe he was a senior too, so he would be gone, you know, pretty much after that. But during that summer, I don't know if it was the summertime, I'm not really sure, but Red would come pick me up and bring me over to his neighborhood to like just go rap, essentially. Like, he had this big ass like the Chevy Blazer. He had a white joint with the long back or whatever. We used to see people driving those around a lot. But I would sit in the back, and then he would open the door on the side, and, you know, people would stick their heads in or come sit down, and they just like listen to me rap. And it was crazy because like everybody would show love, like, yo, yeah, he's a problem, you know, stuff like that. So it didn't really like lead to me, you know, getting like a bigger name or anything like that, but it was just something I could do to just meet people, and, you know, it was like a cool kind of status thing, like, oh shit, like people actually want to like hear me rap, like, oh, that's tight, and people were receiving it. And, you know, for someone that stays in the house and spends a bunch of time on what, you know, I would consider, you know, my art at that point, and I was a savage back then. Like, I'm not nearly as like crazy as I used to be, like, as far as like, chronicle study of everything, having 20 verses memorized at a time, being able to go at any time. Like, I got like songs I kind of make now, so it's a little bit different for me. I thought it was cool because Red thought I was an incredible rapper and just wanted to drive me around so other people could hear me. So I thought that was cool. So rest in peace to Red. What's up to his family and everything like that. In Largo, I was a part of the mass media class. So mass media was essentially, videos, anything to do with like, TV production, different stuff like that. And I ended up, joining the news or whatever, the school news. So for all throughout like sophomore, senior, junior year, I had this period of a day. So I was on a 4-class schedule, like a block scheduling. So you have like maybe 180 minutes per class, something like that. I was so cool with my teacher and I was so undisruptive that I got to turn one of the rooms in the library essentially into my studio, and I made an entire album during my junior year in that, semester that I had the class. And it was crazy. So what's up to Mr. Bigham for like letting me do that. Around this time as well, I had ended up meeting guys that would go on to be like some of my aces to this day, Alex Miller, James Boyd, and Ryan Kendrick. And I met them at the barbershop, the CNC barbershop in Greenwood. And this dude named Terrence was cutting our hair. T-Bone, what's up to T-Bone? And Terrence was kind of a dude that was just connected. He just knows everybody, great barber. So with the barber shops and everything, there's gonna be people that do music. So I would often go to CNC, get my hair cut, rap. First time I met Terrence, I rapped 64 bars for him, and he was like, yeah, this dude's a problem, like immediately off rip. I may have been 15, may have been 16, not sure. But he would let me like play my mixtape freestyles, play whatever in the shop. And I don't know how he let me do it, but he just did. He would hand me the aux, he trusted me, and it was just real cool. And one day I ended up meeting Alex, James, and Ryan, and it was like, oh, you rap? Yeah, I rap too, and this was Alex saying that. James, of course, doesn't rap, so he's probably laughing right now. But, so the deal was like, I remember I had impressed him with a line. I said, like, the only rock y'all ever seen was in Hola's hand, essentially. And this was like, I may have been 16, 17, something like that. And it wasn't a battle per se, but it was like, yo, however many verses you want to kick, because I would rap, Alex would rap, it would come back to me, he would rap. It wasn't a battle per se, but it was like, yo, I have a million verses right now, and I remember them all, and I'll rap all day. That was kind of like, the energy that I had at that point. But I've met those 3 dudes, and those 3 dudes would essentially start changing my trajectory as an artist, like, and kind of like as a person over the years, to where I would, around that time I had this earlier rap style of rapping about shooting and killing people like all the time. And the thing what it would be, I would sound so convincing, so unapologetically wild. They used to be like, yo, this dude's like Duke Nukem in his verses, just shoot everybody. Like, that's how it used to be. But later on, that would all change, and I'll end up telling that story as well. But just meeting those guys and establishing that relationship, we swapped contacts, and I don't think I heard from them for a couple months or so. But when they were going to start on the label Red Carpet later, they were looking for talent and thought about, hey, what about that one dude that was at the barbershop, that young dude? So I'll get more into that story later. And at the same time, there was another avenue I was trying to explore, my love of music and everything, and I was hopping on this thing called letsbeef.com, where I would one day eventually make the Hall of Fame twice, and battle a lot of people online and try to establish a fan base that way. Got stories about that coming up as well. But thank you guys for checking out this episode of my story in music. Love the feedback I'm getting so far with episodes 1 and 2. And make sure you hit me with a like and a subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the beats that are playing. Follow me on IG, and if you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer them in the comment section. This is Rich. I'm up out of here. Peace.